Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Games Up podcast. My name is Cameron, and his name is Lewis.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing mightily fine. Yourself?
Mightily fine, are you?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you, man. It's been a busy week. Busy games week as well.
Yeah, for me too.
Been playing anything good?
I started I think I've got a problem, to be frank with you. I started 6 games yesterday.
Okay.
Some of which I got a Humble Bundle, some of which I bought. And played about an hour of each of them, and today I haven't been playing much. So, definitely a problem.
Do you think you'll ever go back to them, or is it just a case of, that's it, they're all dead to you?
No, I don't. They're all dead to me, yeah. I'm going to play all of them, and some great things on there, so I'm really enjoying it.
Humble Bundle is good for games, but terrible for backlog. I finished Red Dead this week, was very, very happy with it. And so this week I'm going to indulge in a bit of Games Pass. I'm going to catch up on a few of the sort of underdogs that I might have missed throughout the year in preparation for our Game of the Year discussion. And you can indulge in some Xbox Game Pass as well. If you're here for the competition, however, we're going to tease you a little bit. It'll be at the end of the show, but we'd really, really appreciate if you listened to as much of us as you can tolerate, or the whole way through, if you can. We'd really love that. So the competition will be at the end. The details will be in the description for everything else. And if you can stick the whole way through and hear the podcast, we'd love that too. Let's get on with it. We start this week, as we do every other week, with the news. And the news mainly this week revolves around the Game Awards. Lewis, the first piece of news up this week is that 2 of our predictions came true, and it was the ones that everyone knew about beforehand.
Yeah, so these were the announcement of something Dragon Age that we talked about, and what was the other one?
The other one was Obsidian, I believe.
Yes, Obsidian's RPG. 2 things that we absolutely knew were going to be there.
Yep.
I've kind of given up predicting for these things, because the same thing happened for our E3 thing, the same thing happens every single event for the past, like the whole generation. You get like confirmed this is definitely going to be there, 100%. Like the Alien thing, Alien Blacklight, like 100% it's going to be there. And no, it's not. And I feel like every conference this happens.
It's so weird that Alien wasn't there, because Jeff Keighley even tweeted out a piece of key art that looked exactly like something from Alien, and it just didn't turn up. And to be honest, I would even call the Dragon Age thing a stretch if we're talking about reveals, because that was at best concept art.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's just like there's been so many great things announced this year, and so many great things that come up, and I don't know, just off the top of my head, things that we didn't know about beforehand, like Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon, and
the studio announcements
when they came back out, studio announcements,
yeah.
And those things are things we didn't see coming, and the things we did see coming. Well, the things that we've kind of been expecting every conference, we always go, this is going to be there, that's going to be there. They never materialize.
Do you think we've been spoiled to some extent from those kind of 2 years of Sony where everything happened? Like those years where if you predicted Final Fantasy and Crash, you would have just been...
Yeah, I think so, because it does come down to that when you look at... I think a lot gets compared to it every year, and every year we kind of go, these 40 rumors didn't come true. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, great show.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, it was absolutely a great show, and it had a really, really lovely opening moment with Reggie, Sean Layden, and Phil Spencer, Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo, Sean Layden and Phil Spencer all joining together on the stage and giving us a little speech about what it is to be part of the games industry and gaming for people. And to be honest, I found it a little cheesy, but it was a nice little kind of gaming history moment.
Oh, I don't know. I found it very wholesome to kind of have those 3, kind of all the consoles together on the stage. Even if, yeah, you're right, it has that cheese to it, but it's I guess such a nice thing compared to the normal competitive and against each other thing.
Yeah, I will give you that. It is nice to have that kind of, there be a sense of community to the whole thing about it. I don't know. There's something very odd, I think, about all of them together doing the here are some words and we're ending each other's sentences bit. It always feels like really scripted. And it's led to some of the most awkward photographs from the Game Awards. If you want to check out three men struggling to smile together, you go and look at those photos, because those lenses are lucky they didn't break. But yeah, it's very nice to have the camaraderie between them. It's very nice to have that kind of more pleasant community these days, scripted or otherwise. I'm just being a bit of a cynic, I suppose. Some of the bigger things that came out of the Game Awards were, of course, that there were lots and lots of announcements. So we will run through them one by one. We started with The Outer Worlds, an RPG made by Obsidian, announced I don't know what I was going to say there. Announced at the Game Awards, which is a collaboration between Obsidian as it stands and the original devs of Fallout, which is really cool. It looks like a very classic sci-fi RPG. Looks like kind of Fallout in its more traditional form, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so. New Vegas was one of my favorite of that series, and I think it looks like they've really kind of caught a combination of sort of the kind of classic Fallout, as you say, with the kind of space and that kind of space exploration theme. And it looks really interesting. I'm quite excited for it, actually. If they can really do the justice to make like a world that's similar to the way Bethesda does things, like in Fallout New Vegas, then I'd be really up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the writing looks really nice and on point as well. The tone and kind of light humor of the trailer was lovely. I totally bought into that, and the feel and kind of atmosphere they're trying to build was really lovely. So yeah, all in on that. It sounds really cool. I'm a little disappointed it's coming out on PlayStation. I know that sounds really terrible, but I would have really liked to see Microsoft put their money behind this, but it's entirely possible that there were like publishing agreements already in place. I don't know the ins and outs of that. So as somebody who was really excited to see them purchase Obsidian, I would have liked this to be a real driver for Microsoft, but totally understand why it might not have been.
And on that note, though, you kind of have to wonder, like, Obsidian aren't a massive studio. They have their top-down games, and I guess I kind of thought, and I think many of us thought, that they were done with kind of big, expansive worlds or something like Fallout. So you have to wonder what game is coming to Microsoft, right? Or if it's like a 4-year thing, or...
That's exactly the bit that worries me, is not that this game isn't coming out, because I trust that Obsidian will make something excellent when they do. It's that the fact that this game is coming out next year means we're waiting a long time to see anything from Obsidian, unless they're staffing up, like unless the money from Microsoft is for that purpose. We know they've been always in multiple teams, it's just they've not been on the same scale of project, and I really hope we see them make that full-scale project, because New Vegas is exactly what gives Obsidian its name and reputation, and it would be really good to see that driven and helmed by somebody with the money of Microsoft. The next announcement was that the Stanley Parable is getting an Ultra Deluxe Edition that's coming to consoles. I am so excited for this. I can't wait to play the Stanley Parable again. It's one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, and I totally am on that side. I was also quite happy to announce that I was quite happy to see that it was announced that it was also coming to PC, these new changes they're doing. Hopefully cheaper for people who already have the game. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. My only real kind of takeaway is that it's been quite a while. I was expecting maybe like a Stanley Parable 2 when I saw it, instead of an expansion. Or like a larger game. But at the same time, I'm so up for that. Definitely one of my favorite games.
Do you ever think we'll see a Stanley Parable 2?
Yeah, I know what you mean. In that, like, maybe it's difficult to kind of expand on it that much and make like a whole other game.
I mean, I feel like there's a way of doing it. Like, I feel like there's a sort of open goal route to take with it. But yeah, I don't know whether we ever will. The people who made it have gone on to make other games, so maybe they're more interested in kind of one-off little quirky stories rather than ongoing things, which I guess makes sense. Like, the Stanley Parable is a big, sarcastic game the whole way through.
Yeah.
Making a hollow sequel would really defeat the point quite a lot.
Yeah. I guess the other thing actually is it already is kind of Stanley Parable too, because it originally was a mod.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, so if you ever want to get a little bit more Stanley Parable, pick up the original mod that adds, well, not adds, but it's a bit more content.
That's cool. I like that a lot. Next up was Far Cry New Dawn, another giant, exciting one for me. I'm so down for this.
Yeah, and it actually caught me a bit. I was not. I kind of. It sounds maybe bad, but I'm more interested in this than Far Cry 5. Um, and I think like it really looked quite good to me.
So, have you played Far Cry 5?
A little bit.
Did you? So you didn't get to the end of it?
No, but I know now, don't I? So I mean, like,
You kind of know.
they had to reveal
See,
some things to make this announcement.
I mean, it very much depends what route they go with the story, and I think that's why I'm very excited to play it. We will discuss this in full at Game of the Year. But there's a story route they could go down with this game that's so interesting, and I don't think they will do it, but I really hope they do. The ending of Far Cry is one of my favorite endings of a game in a long while, and I'm very excited to see where they take it with this. Next up was Mortal Kombat 11, which had one of the coolest reveals ever seen at the Game Awards. Ed Boon stepped on stage to reveal the winner for the sports and racing category, and he read from the card, and then here's the nominees, and they cut to the screen as though they were going to show the sizzle reel, and instead the Mortal Kombat thing flashed up as though they'd sort of taken over the show. It was really, really well done. I hope they do more stuff like that in the future.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the reveal for that, and yeah, I'm fairly excited for it.
There'd been a lot of rumors going into the awards about Mortal Kombat. There'd been a lot of rumors about something from that studio, and considering how many rumors and how expected it was, it totally caught me off guard. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. It surprised me, but yeah, so up for it as well, and it was a pretty exciting way to reveal it.
Now, we didn't get any majorly quirky devs this year. There were no Joseph Fares moments, really. But the quirkiest of moments was when actual Crash Bandicoot showed up on the stage in a pretty nerdy costume. And then they announced Crash Team Racing, the remaster, which is... it's cool.
Yeah, I'm quite excited for that. I'm still in the side, though, where I'm hoping that they take the remake kind of train and then turn it into something new,
Oh, don't you worry. I guarantee you see another Crash game.
Yeah,
like a new one.
I hope so. I want to see a new Crash Team Racing as well. But I'll pick this up as well.
I mean, I'll pick it up for sure. I'm kind of torn. It's coming out on everything, so it's coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch all at the same time. And I'm really hoping that I'm really hoping and working towards the idea of getting a Switch for Christmas. And I'm quite torn about what to pick it up on, because I love me some Crash on the Xbox, and I want those achievements. But a kart racing game is kind of perfect for the Switch.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, it's definitely the perfect kind of.
I mean, it's almost like there's a very popular franchise that's kart-based on the Switch that I just can't think of the name of.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Crash was always better. But anyway.
No, but I've heard this I never played the original, and I've heard from a lot of people that Crash Team Racing is very much the closest competitor to Mario Kart. Man, it'd be fucking cool if next year the best kart racing game on the Switch is not Mario Kart. That would be great.
Yeah. Super excited for this.
Yeah, me too. It looks beautiful. It's been done with real care. Slightly concerned that it's coming from Beanox, because they don't have a track record of like 10 out of 10 games, but they always make solid stuff. And they made the latest Spider-Man game with a different name. So, yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, very, very excited for it. Next up was Atlas, a fantasy pirate MMO. I didn't pay much attention to this, I must be honest.
To be honest, it looks quite interesting. So half of it felt like you were watching that Assassin's Creed, or not Assassin's Creed. What's it called?
Oh,
Skull and Bones.
That's it. Yeah.
The Ubisoft game that's pirates fighting. Combination of that. God, I don't remember any games.
Sea of Thieves?
The Microsoft, yeah, Sea of Thieves.
Well done.
Gaming podcast, right? Yeah.
Welcome to Pirates Weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it looked like a combination of those two, and then some sort of, fantasy MMO with 5-headed snake monsters and loads of cool things. I think it actually looks really interesting. I'm quite tempted to look into it more, especially if it kind of plays as good as it looks.
So interesting.
I like the concept of kind of fantasy with pirate and doing it right,
It's so interesting that one of the biggest winners of this generation has been pirates. Didn't see that one coming when we started it.
Yeah, very true.
The next big reveal was Fortnite's The Block, which is a really fucking cool idea. This week, Fortnite put out a thing called Creative Mode, which is basically like Fortnite Minecraft. You have the same tools you have in Fortnite, i.e. combat and building, but you have your own little island, and you can use those building mechanics and all the traps and mechanisms to build your own objects and places and this, that, the other. And so far, it's being picked up really well. A lot of people have compared it to what was the mode in Halo years ago where people used
Forge.
to Forge. That's it. A lot of people have compared it to Forge in Halo, where it's giving people this chance to make really neat, obscure little challenges and mini games. And the cube in Fortnite, the block in Fortnite, is now an area in the Fortnite map where some of the best things from creative mode will be brought into Battle Royale, and you can play them or destroy them or fight around them as part of the game. This is awesome. Like, it's such a cool way to highlight what that community is. And we'll get more into it in a little bit. But Epic made a push this year with the Game Awards. They made a real push and a real attack on sort of other Battle Royales and Steam. And man, if they keep looking after their community like this week in, week out, you've got to say they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought it was such a cool addition to the game to try and make that happen. And I'm interested to kind of see. Part of me thinks that what we'll get is, I don't know, like a gimmicky kind of thing. So I'm hoping that the choice allows kind of interesting things to be put in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've been watching some stuff this morning. I was flicking through some gaming stuff, and I was watching some of the things that people have created, and there's all sorts of stuff. Like, people are already building like mini parkour challenges, mini target challenges, training grounds, mini battle arenas. I really love the creativity that they're kind of empowering people with, and I don't think it will be hard to pick great stuff from that community. The only thing I do hope is that the things they pick come from the most deserving rather than the most popular. Something that this reminds me of is GTA 5 and their content creator approach, where they kind of had everyone make their own stuff, which was great, but it also kind of favored the people with the most followers or the people who could get the most push behind their things, and I hope it's a little bit more organic than that.
Yeah.
Next up was a pretty big one, to be honest. I didn't expect to see this at all. Was Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 was announced, which is really cool to begin with. Then it was announced as a Switch exclusive.
Yeah, I thought this was very strange. And it was definitely a strange approach to it. For a while, I thought it was something else, to be honest with you, because there's an MMO that escapes my mind, Marvel's Heroes or something.
Yeah, is it Ultimate Heroes? Hold on, I'll look it up.
Maybe it's Ultimate Alliance Infinite or something. It's called something like that. But
it was just Marvel Heroes.
The art style looked very, very similar. And I do wonder if that's maybe part of the push behind the Switch, if they've kind of reused the assets in some way.
Oh, okay. So the MMO was called Marvel Heroes, and it's dead. Like it
Yeah,
hasn't,
yeah.
it's not been active in a while. So yeah, maybe.
Because when I watched it at first, I thought, oh, they're bringing it back because it genuinely looked like the same art, which kind of perplexed me a bit. But um, still, it's cool. I mean, an Ultimate Alliance game. It's been. I want to say that they were on PS2. Maybe there was one on PS3.
There was one on
I mean,
PS3 and Xbox
equivalent,
360.
but yeah, like cool to see. But I kind of wish that it wasn't exclusive to Switch.
I was surprised that Switch didn't get more of a kind of fanboy battering for this. It seems like anytime anyone buys an exclusive, there's a bit of a kind of a tussle about it. Part of me wonders if the reason they've invested in this is because they know whatever the Avengers project is won't be on the Switch, and this is kind of their answer to it of, if we can't have those Marvel heroes, we'll have these other ones instead. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh yeah,
You all right there?
I just haven't got much more to say on it.
Cool. All right. Next up was I'm going to leave the kind of big surprising one till the end. So next up was that Psychonauts 2 has a release year. I think it has a release month. In fact, I think it's April next year.
Ah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
Looking
and it
forward to
looked
playing
really cool. It looked like kind of what I wanted from it. Kind of continuing. So, the first Psychonauts was really kind of not quite innovative. What's the right word? It was innovative as well, but it was one of the first games that I felt had like a real story push behind it, where you could just have conversations with people, and then they would evolve into other things, and everyone had their own kind of interweaving stories. It was one of the first games I felt that really did that well. And it looks like they're trying to go in a similar kind of direction, and I'm just so excited for that game.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I think the way that they've approached the story behind it as well, I think that seemed nice and kind of organic, and the right direction to take it in. So looks good. And then finally, the first content patch for Super Smash Brothers was announced. And man, it was a good one. Also, before we get into this, can we shout out how good the Smash adverts were all the way throughout the Game Awards? Because they looked like reveals, and they got me a couple of times. The Animal Crossing one was great, where they cut to Isabelle in Animal Crossing, and they were like, here's Animal Crossing, and then Mario came and kicked the ass of everyone. They properly got me there.
Yeah, they were great. They got me too, to be honest, because I think that Animal Crossing one's been a long time coming, and then it's like, oh no, it's Smash.
I think if they'd have done Metroid, they'd have pissed too many people off, especially with all the rumors.
Sure. And I also thought it was cool just that they were like, this is coming soon in a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the trailers for this were like coming eventually or coming one day, whereas it was like it's basically out right now.
Yeah.
The first big content patch for Switch is Joker from Persona, which was really fucking cool. And I think it sets the tone really nicely of what these content patches will be. I hope it kind of signifies that they are, look, this is a big new addition to this game and this franchise, and something that you should really pay attention to. I feel like if you bought the character pass or whatever it is before this, you probably had that purchase justified with the Joker trailer.
Yeah, and I think like there's kind of two things to take away from it. The first is just that if we can go that far, if we can go to a character that's in a PlayStation 4 exclusive game, like, how is anything like safe from not being in Smash? Could anything be in Smash? You know, like the kind of the rumors behind, or the not rumors. Well, there was rumors about like Banjo-Kazooie or being in it, and like that seemed so crazy and out there. But actually, now I'm not so sure. Can we see Master Chief in it? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I really feel like Banjo is something we'll see. I don't know why. I think I think it will be somebody of that ilk. If it's not Banjo, it might be Crash or Spyro, maybe Jack or Daxter, somebody from that kind of character platformer age.
I think we're definitely getting Crash, actually. Now that you say it, I think it's something
I
that's
mean,
almost
it
certain.
makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
But like
like either that or Spyro, but one of them.
the thing that really excites me about this is, though, how much they seem to care about what. It seems rough to call Persona this because it's not really, but what might be considered niche franchises. Like, it's very easy to point at the biggest characters in gaming and go, that should be in Smash. But actually, this looked as though somebody has really been doing their research is the wrong way to put it, but they have their pulse on the gaming industry. And what I'm excited for is, like, it would be cool if we got somebody like Kratos. Or if we got someone like, one of the smaller PlayStation exclusives, like someone from Infamous. That would be awesome, or whoever the guy from Ghost of Tsushima is. Like, I'd like to see those franchises that I didn't not only expect to be in Smash, but that I wouldn't have thought about for Smash.
Yeah, they made a big point actually of saying, or at least afterwards on Twitter, they made a big point about saying that this is kind of an example of what you can expect from the character pack. So I think it's fairly likely that the rest of the characters are also going to be ones we didn't expect, and that's kind of cool. I like the idea that the base game, because it's kind of that. Well, there's a big debate about this, but it's kind of that thing about DLC and how, in this sense, it's like the main game has everything you'd expect to be in the main game, and then the DLC is like extras that you wouldn't have thought of or things that are out there. And I kind of like that being the model.
Yeah, I mean, I would make the argument that to some extent, if these had been discussed or included in Smash, or something like this had been included in Smash at the base level, I would be far more interested in it. I'm not interested in Smash. I've played it this week and it's really cool. But as somebody who hasn't played a Smash before, nothing I saw of Ultimate made me think it was the one I was going to get into. If I have a Switch, it will be the one I get because it's the one suited for it. But I wouldn't go out and buy a Switch for it. That being said, they've clearly put a lot of care and attention into how they're framing and working on this DLC. And the fact that we didn't know about it 2 weeks ago and now know all the details of the first bit of it, this is not like Arkham Knight where it was, please give us money for something we'll think about later. This is a case of, we know what we're doing, we just need you to trust us that we're going to deliver it. And they are making a case for themselves really well.
Yeah.
It's not often you hear me criticize Arkham Knight on this show, is it?
No, it's a new concept. I'm going to have to kind of process it and take it in.
The DLC was whack, the tank was still really good. All right. There was loads of rumours that didn't happen, though, and I'm genuinely quite surprised about them. So there was an Alien game that is basically all but confirmed. We kind of know it exists. We don't know where it is at the minute. There were 2 Avatar games trademarked that there's no word or mention of them. I'm so surprised Kojima was not there in any form. Man.
Yeah, like Kojima said he wouldn't be there, but I fully expected the game to be there.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
As you put in our news doc, on the news about a lack of Sony stuff at the conference, someone tweeted Sean Layden and asked where he was and what was going on, and he responded briefly, simply with, "See you next year."
See, I find this really interesting because
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, it's this thing of like currently Sony don't actually have anything confirmed for next year. We know they're not at E3. In theory, well, they're not confirmed anything about next year doing Experience, so interesting. But also just obviously this kind of goes further. Well, I'm reading too much into 4 words, but maybe goes some way to kind of saying what's happened this year and why they've been a bit quiet.
Yeah, I mean,
it's coming, but this kind of like I feel like it's a bit more of like a see you next year, kind of. I don't know.
On the one hand, if PS5 is next year, yeah, okay. They're all but cock teasing it at this point, right? Like, it's all but in. On the other hand, if he had tweeted anything else, like, he's not going to respond. I mean, obviously, he doesn't have to respond to these tweets, but he's not going to respond to this questioning with, like, oh, God, yeah, we dropped the ball, didn't we? Maybe we should turn up next time. Like, obviously, they're going to say something like, well, you know, keep your eyes peeled, or, hey, pay attention, because that's marketing. So,
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I mean, I guess you're right in the sense that they couldn't have said much else.
if I would have had far more respect for him if he'd have responded with just like a photo of him in the Game Awards hall the next day being like, the fuck is everyone?
Yeah.
I do think we'll get I was going to say something, but I won't, because we're going to do another predictions episode in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I think that tweet is probably indicative of something. It's just what that something is and the scale of it that will be very interesting to see. Yeah, it was a good games week. I also want to give a giant shout out whilst we're here to the Kind of Funny Games Showcase. I go on about Kind of Funny a lot. I love being a part of that community. But genuinely, the Game Showcase was a really cool new thing. If you love indies, if you care about indies, hell, if you own an indie, there was probably something in it for you. There were some details on The Walking Dead and what they've been doing, and Telltale. There was some stuff about Yakuza. And also it was... it reminded me of the Devolver Digital press conference, where they kind of took a lot of the pomp and circumstance out, except without Devolver's pretentious tone. And that, you know, the Devolver's tone is very sarcastic, very funny. But if that doesn't land with you, I think this press conference is really good, because it has a bit of humor in it. It has a bit of in-jokes in it, but also it's 60 games in an hour, and there is a lot in there for everyone. So go and have a look at it. They did some really cool shit. And other than that, I think that's us for the week. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Great show, all in all.
10 out of 10. We'll podcast again.
Yes.
So, that's us done, but it's not you done. Ladies and gentlemen, this week we are giving away to 5 of you wonderful lucky people a perfect way to end the year. If you want to check out some of the things that may be up for Game of the Year, then you might need access to Xbox Games Pass, and we have 2 weeks of it to give away to 5 of you. Here's how it works. What we want you to do is simple. Go to Facebook, find us, we are Games Up Podcast, and like our page. Then share from our page this post. It will be tagged with "This is the competition" under the link. Share that, and that's all you need to do. You need to like us, share this post, and you are entered. You have a chance of winning 2 weeks of Xbox Game Pass, which gives you access to hundreds of games, including Gears of War 4, Sea of Thieves, Crackdown, Hitman's on it, Rise of the Tomb Raider's on it, Rocket League's on it at 4K, which is awesome. I've like done it this evening, and I'm already downloading a bunch of stuff. So yeah, you should do that. There are terms and conditions in the description of this podcast. They are as full as we can make them, but if you have any questions or concerns, you can always get in touch with us. We answer questions on the Facebook page. We're on Twitter, and some of you know us in person as well. You can go through World Geekly News, all that kind of jazz. That's how you do the competition. Please enter it. It would be a lovely thing for us to give you for Christmas. We'd love to talk about and share and maybe even play the games with you as well. That would be awesome. So, like the page, share the post. You're entered into the competition. We look forward to giving you some games for Christmas. And until then, until next week, and until we give you those games, this week's podcast is in fact done. You can find us on all the socials. That's at Games Upcast on everything: Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, YouTube, and Twitch. We post every Monday at 6:30 and much, much earlier that day on iTunes. And we will see you next week. Until then, Lewis, have a good week.
And you.
And the game's up.